Hi everyone, it's Adrienne Leah. I'm back from being away for a while. As you can see that this is a different setting. So we moved back to the town that I grew up in, and we're currently in my godmother's place until the my dad's property is available in August. So I have been doing a lot of stuff. I'm finishing my degree next month, which is so exciting. And I also have a new job, which is strange for me because I haven't worked in another location besides working for myself in a couple of years. So it's been kind of weird. So I'm really happy that I'm doing this video because I wanted to talk about one of my favorite shows that have a deck, which is the Golden Girls Tarot. And I don't think I've ever mentioned that before, how much I love the show. But I picked this up at the bookstore, and I'm so happy that the bookstore is open. It's one of the places that I tend to go to. But I haven't been buying a lot of decks, especially I haven't gotten any decks last month. And so I have a couple that I've gotten this month, and then I know that I won't really be getting anything until my dad's place, that when it's available. So this is how it opens. And this is the extra card. I opened this, but I didn't really look through the cards. They are shuffled though because I tend to like doing impression. I like doing impressions when they're shuffled because it makes it more interesting for me. And so this is a little bit about tarot and how to shuffle, spread, read, and reflect. So if you want to look into this. And I like getting my decks in bookstores or metaphysical shops. I prefer getting them in person. And I really love getting them from my home area. And I generally grew up in the Northeast because I grew up in the New Jersey, Philly area. I was born in Philly. And then I also grew up in New England too. So getting a deck from this area, it means so much to me because whenever I get decks from here, they really speak to me. And I'm so sorry I keep rambling, but I just haven't been on camera for a while. So I'll get back to you guys on different videos. I have a lot of videos that I want to do because I was going to do a video in response to Mary Grace's deck bags. My decks are kind of in storage. I can get to them, but I mainly have the decks that I've been working with out right now. So I'm definitely going to do that one because I really want to, and I loved her video. And I also wanted to do maybe like decks from my hometown and decks that like I work with. So those are some things that are coming up, and I also wanted to share some of my readings that I'm adding to my shop. And my deck, my tarot deck, isn't real it isn't released on my shop yet because I wanted to wait until things started to be not so much in the situation that we're in right now. So I'm just holding off until that this part is gonna go through. So I'm really sorry for the ramble in the beginning. I'm gonna put a note in that in the description bar in case people don't want to hear what I have to say. So these are the backs, and it has an interesting cardstock. It feels very it's has a slight shine to it, but it's like a thin cardboard type of cardstock, which is okay for me because with the what it's made out of, it doesn't feel flimsy. So I also like that it feels smooth too. I was thinking about cutting the borders off, but I like how it fits in the box and it's not going to rattle in there, so I'm probably going to keep it the size that it is. But this is the card that I drew when I first got it. This is the Six of Pentacles, and it is telling for me because that was just the stuff that I got, and now I had to buckle down, and then I'll be ready for my next location. So I'm so happy that I'm gonna get the place because my dad, he likes to renovate the places and he makes them look nice, and so I like that I'm going to be getting it and at a decent price, you know. So I'm gonna go through the cards and I'll make some comments on them. I know the main characters. The men in the deck, some of them I know. Like Stanley, Dorothy's ex-husband. I love the theme to it too. And it's interesting how I got it here, but it does hold meaning to that I got it here. And it says on the box that the show isn't affiliated with this deck, in case you guys are curious. I'll do a flip through of this deck, just of me going through the cards and not talking about them. And it just looks so Florida to me. Luckily, we left before things weren't good. And the cheesecake makes sense for the devil card. It just feels like the Florida type of colors and scenery. Like I remember seeing the plants here when we would maybe exit the VA, and just common, and even the way that Blanche is dressed up and her facial expression. I think that it makes sense that Dorothy's on the Moon card. She's also on the Empress card when I saw that when I was looking through the cards. Which I think is good because she has a son, and well, Rose has a daughter too. But at first, I was thinking that maybe Blanche would be the Empress, but she's actually the High Priestess. And she does have like a mind of her own, of her doing things her own way, and she's the younger one that is still finding herself. And even Rose on the Sun card, because she's always happy. That's what I'm getting from it. But I also wanted to get this deck because I don't have a past lives deck or a deck that I really associate with past lives. So I wanted to get this deck, and it reminds me of it. Because there's a story behind what happened to the other one that I might talk about in another video. In Judgment, it has Ma here, or she's at the top. Because she makes her comments and talking about, I remember like it was picture it 1955 Sicily. That might be not the date that she would say, but always saying something. And they do listen to her too. And Dorothy seems to be more of the rational one. They're all trying to figure themselves out, and the stuff that has been happening really relates to the Golden Girls for me. So I really enjoy this deck, and I feel like I'm going to get amazing readings out of it. And some of these pictures are things that happened in the episodes. There was a time that I didn't really watch the Golden Girls because I think it was similar to, I watched one time I watched one of my favorite movies 3 times in a row because I didn't feel like changing the movie on the TV. And then I got tired of the movie, so then I stopped watching it for a while. That's kind of what happened with the Golden Girls. But I still love it. And again, even with the coloring, like the Florida coloring, because it seems like it takes you back, because a lot of stuff in Florida, especially the area that I was in, it wasn't that updated. So it still had like the salmon colored stuff, and people still wear those things. And you could see his, I think, like toupee for the Hanged Man, because it's falling a little bit. And this reminds me of a Ma card. And this, I'm pretty sure, is the guy that, it's not her late husband, but the guy that was her friend that they tried to be together, but it didn't really work out. I think it's him. And Rose as the Fool. She might jump into stuff too quickly. Or she might not be aware, like it goes over her head. It's interesting that Ma's on the Magician, but she's also on the Hierophant too. So this is the High Priestess that I was talking about. How Blanche is on the High Priestess, and Dorothy's on the Empress card. But it does make sense to me. At first, I was just looking at it and thinking. And because Ma's were religious. And for the Lovers card, you see Dorothy and Stanley. Because there's still some chemistry between them. And then for Blanche, with the Chariot, I'll pull out a card at the end. It would make sense that Blanche is on the Nine of Pentacles too. Because she's the owner of the house. That's what I'm thinking. And that, what is an orange or a peach tree? Peach. And the clothing is their style. I did like living in Florida, but my body just is so used to the northeast weather that I feel healthier here. In the sleeves. I feel like I'm going to use this deck a lot. I say that about a good portion of my decks, but especially with the New Jersey ones, because they're more straightforward for me, like the tarot decks particularly, because I got the Spiral Tarot and I use that for my friends down or up here. The Shadowscapes, it's interesting because and the cheesecake, and I like how they're just all together. I mean, it seems more of an obvious card choice, but also they have a dynamic relationship or relationships where it's more complex, and you can get that from the reading too. But for the Shadowscapes Tarot, I do have the check edition and I have the regular edition. I was thinking of using the regular edition because I do like the warmth that it has that the larger one doesn't have as much, but I packed it without a case, and there's a card missing, and I'm pretty sure it's in the box. So maybe it's just the sign to just use the check one because you can see all the detail in the check one. I use that a bit too. I do really love the Shadowscapes Tarot, and I'm glad that I got the check version. Yeah, and Blanche they all seem to fit really well in the cards that they chose, so I'm so glad it's a usable deck. And the outfits, because they're in Miami. And I also got the Dark Wood Tarot, which I really love, and I wanted to do a comparison video with the Dark Wood, the Ludi Lescott, and the Witchbone. So the Witchbone isn't really available right now. I actually got it in a trade from the creator when Instagram still had the trading for tarot and oracle swaps. That was the name of it, but then they stopped doing it because, or the person stopped doing it. That's Rose and one of her long-term boyfriends. I remember him because he was more practical. He was really frugal. So he's in a couple of episodes. And with Rose always wanting to do stuff right. And so I didn't see these in order, but it seems like there's a theme with certain people being in the different suits. So Rose seems to be in the cups, and then Blanche the pentacles, Ma the wands, and Dorothy's the swords, and the dynamic is really nice in here. Because Rose always is the kind one. And can be blinded too. But sometimes she's not. Like when the episode when Dorothy had shown the gambling problem and Rose knew, and Dorothy's like, you know, I have this problem, right? And she's like, I know, but I'm hoping that we're good enough friends to where you're not basically going to screw her over. So that was a good episode too. Then you can see that she has pebbles there too. And so the 3 comparisons, because I like the Darkwood Tarot for more of everyday readings, and I really like it because I love the Looney Lescott. Some of the images, though, might be images that people don't want to see because they're more like gory and, well, the Darkwood doesn't have, it still has stuff like that, but it's not as dramatic. And I feel like the older I get, maybe I tend to go for stuff that's more mindful. Not like the Looney Lescott isn't. I really love that deck, and when I used it a lot. So with the Witchbone, I wanted to include it because it also has the color palette is close to the Darkwood. And I love Ma's facial expressions. So a lot of red. And the creator of the Witchbone, she wanted to have the color palette being red, black, and white, I believe, with a gray background. Because it's more of there's symbolism, but it's more stripped back. I do love that deck too, and it has a nice cardstock. I'm sorry, this is definitely going to be dubbed as a ranting video because I'm talking about other decks while I'm showing you another deck. I love the black cat in here. And I love that Ma just has a big smile on her face. And the colors are very accurate. You see a lot of places like this. And I would say with Dorothy, she gets her put in situations and she really thinks about things. I did prefer having her in the show, but it was cool that the woman from Halloween Town was in the show for a little bit and then Dorothy came back. And you could see it's a picture of Stanley. Well, just trying to think. It's not him though. I love Dorothy for the Queen of Swords. But I feel like this is a well done deck. Yeah, I would say so because Rose and Dorothy, and even in real life, they didn't have the best relationship. Then you see Stan's name in the background. So I'll pull out a card. And this is when I broke the deck. It's a little stiff. I'd say that this might crease easily if you do that. But I wanted to try it out. So it shuffles nicely. It's a little larger than an average deck. And I got the Five of Pentacles. Seven of Cups at the bottom. And Hermit and Fool. So it makes sense for me because this feels like kind of an important period, and then next month is when everything happens. Like I graduate and then get the place. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this was interesting. I'm happy to do a video again. I also have a tag coming up, and there's a couple of other readers and witches that are doing the video too, so I'll post the picture of the days, and I'm a little late with it, but I think that you guys will really love it. It's about the moon and things relating to the moon, so the duration is like a moon cycle of different people doing it, and mine is July 22nd, about herbs associated with the moon. So I hope that you guys stick around on my channel to watch that too. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you in another video.